Have you ever felt that strange mix of excitement and honestly a little bit of anxiety about AI lately? That sense that you're witnessing something huge, a real revolution, but you're also worried you might be getting left behind? Well, you are definitely not alone. In this explainer, we're going to break down that exact feeling, we're going to give it a name, and most importantly, we're going to talk about what you can do about it.
So let's dive into this feeling. It's a shared experience, right? It's empowering on one hand, but it's also deeply unsettling. And it's happening to pretty much everyone, from people who are just starting out to the very folks who are building this technology.
I mean, to kick things off, just get a load of this quote. This is from Andre Karpathy, one of the co-founders of OpenAI. He says, and I quote, "I've never felt this much behind as a programmer." He calls these new tools a powerful alien tool handed around with no manual. Now think about that. If one of the literal architects of this stuff feels like he's falling behind, is it any wonder the rest of us are feeling the pressure?
And this is where it gets really interesting, because it creates this wild paradox. On one side, you have an expert like Karpathy feeling totally overwhelmed. But then on the other side, you have David Holz, the founder of Midjourney, who says he did more personal coding over a single Christmas break than he had in the last 10 years combined. So how is that possible? How can the same technology make one expert feel behind and another feel like they have superpowers?
Well, that paradox leads to this. As AEI fellow John Bailey puts it, it feels like we're all living in three different realities. You've got the super users who are pushing the absolute limits. You've got the skeptics who are convinced it's all just hype. And then there's pretty much everyone else, the vast majority of people who maybe haven't even tried the basic tools yet. This disconnect, this is the core of the problem.
All right, so to really get our heads around what's going on, we need to put a name to this thing. Let's diagnose what we're going to call the acceleration gap.
So what exactly is the AI acceleration gap? Well, think of it like this. It's the growing divide between what the most advanced AI can do, that's the frontier, and what the average person, the median user, actually knows how to do with it. And here's the kicker, the most important part. This gap isn't just sitting there. It's getting wider and wider. It's compounding over time.
For a long time, this gap existed, sure, but it was stable. It was predictable. The experts were always ahead, of course, but as the tech got better, everyone else kind of moved forward along with it, more or less in parallel. The distance between the front of the pack and the middle of the pack wasn't really changing all that much.
But recently, that dynamic has completely shattered. The frontier has just blasted off. The capabilities of the best new models have accelerated so unbelievably fast that the median user is just being left in the dust. Those parallel lines are broken. One is shooting straight up to the moon.
And this chart just shows you exactly what I'm talking about. Look at the difference here. The frontier capabilities are skyrocketing while the skills of the median user are just kind of slowly inching up. That giant space between those two bars, that is the acceleration gap, and it is getting wider every single day.
And let's be clear, this isn't just some abstract, theoretical idea. It has huge, real-world consequences. Kevin Roose from the New York Times calls this a yawning inside-outside gap, and he raises a pretty chilling point that things like restrictive IT policies at big companies could literally create a generation of knowledge workers who will never catch up. So this isn't just about feeling a little behind anymore. This is about the very real risk of becoming professionally obsolete.
So, with a gap this big and this scary, it should come as no surprise that the whole public conversation around AI has gotten really polarized and, frankly, super confusing. It's hard to know what to believe.
The debate has basically split into two extreme camps. You've got the skeptics over here, just dismissing it all as NFTs 2.0, just another tech fad, another hustle. And then over here, you've got the true believers, the folks who are building multi-agent Claude swarms and won't make a decision without asking their chatbot first. These two sides aren't even speaking the same language.
But here's a much more grounded take from Raza Martin, who co-created Notebook LM. He kind of cuts through the noise. He says, imagine going on and on about your multi-agent setup when literally most people are still using AI as a glorified Google search. And he's right. All that super advanced chatter from the early adopters can actually scare off the very people who really need to start getting on board.
So if those are the extremes, where does that leave most of us? Well, right here, in this messy, complicated middle. We're experimenting, yeah, but we're also pretty uncertain. We're finding some things that AI is genuinely useful for, and a whole lot of other things where it's totally overhyped. We can see both the incredible upside and the very real concerns. This right here, this is where the vast majority of us actually live, just trying to sort through all the noise.
Okay, so that's the problem. The big question now is, what in the world are you supposed to do about all this? How do you actually move from that feeling of anxiety to taking some real, meaningful action? Let's talk strategy.
All right. First things first, let's cover what is not required. You do not have to obsess over every single new paper and model that gets released. You do not have to try everything that some person on the internet is hyping up. And you absolutely positively do not need to overcomplicate your life to stay relevant. All of that, that's just noise. You can ignore it.
Instead, here's a much simpler, way more effective approach. Just 3 steps. First, understand. Just try to keep a general pulse on what the cutting-edge folks are getting excited about. You don't need details, just the gist. Second, and this is the most important one, experiment. Make it a habit. Carve out a little time to just kick the tires on these tools and see what actually helps you with your problems. And third, push. Just gently and consistently nudge yourself a tiny bit outside your comfort zone. That's where all the real discovery happens.
And why is this so critical right now? It all comes down to this idea right here. Linear growth in an exponential environment is ultimately a compounding disadvantage. Basically what that means is, if you're just walking at a normal pace while the world around you is on a rocket ship, you're not just falling behind, you're falling behind faster every single day. The gap just gets bigger and bigger.
And that brings us right to our final thought. The acceleration gap? It is real, and yes, it is widening. But that doesn't have to be something that causes anxiety. It can actually be an invitation to get curious, to play, to explore. So the only real question left is, what's your next experiment?